Hey guys, I am sorry I am out today, but you are in good hands. I hope that you are on your very best behavior. I'm going to go ahead and thank you for that. So that we don't get behind, I've created this video going over our lesson today. Now, you should have, when you came in, things should be running just like as if I was here. You should have gone to the basket and you should have gotten all three papers out of the baskets. If you have not done so already, you need to go do that now because these all three things are very important. Now, we're going to go ahead and organize our papers. This right here is your homework paper for tonight and also Tuesday nights. You'll notice that I accidentally copied them wrong. We're used to them being double-sided, but for some reason they got printed one-sided. So here's tonight's, and then there's tomorrow night. So if you need, which I guess turns out to be a blessing anyways, if you need extra room for work, you can show work on the backs of these right here. So go ahead and put these in your homework folders. You can take out your old homeworks, show them to your grown-ups, and then you can throw them away or whatever. But they don't need to stay in that homework folder because those homework folders would get too crowded. Um, and so put this new homework in there now. I'm going to give you a second to go ahead and do that. Now, fourth period, I understand that you haven't gotten your folders back yet. So if y'all could get those back and put these in your folder. If you need to pause the video right now so y'all can go ahead and put those in your folder, that would be great. And go ahead and do so. One thing I will point out while you're doing that is I want you to read the question or the directions carefully. It says solve and then round to the nearest tenths place. So in each question is different. You have a little bit of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and a couple division problems. So you need to be paying attention to what operation you need to be doing. And then you need to round your answer because I put the rounding part because we struggled with that with our quiz last week. And so I want to make sure that y'all are rounding like you're supposed to be doing. So put that away. The next thing we're going to be looking at, you're going to need these papers right here. So we're not going to get to them just a second because we've got to do our warm-ups that you should have been working out, but hold on tight to those. So we're about to transition into our warm-ups. You should have worked those warm-ups out on the same warm-up grid paper that I gave you last week. You should have just flipped it over and worked it out on the back on the Monday section and labeled it Monday. Um, so the questions that you were working out, there was 3 warm-up questions. Those were the top 3 questions missed in every single class. And the reason for missing those was A, you didn't read carefully enough, or B, you didn't round correctly. And so we're going to look at those 3 problems here in just a second. I'm going to kind of go through it a little bit fast so that you can move on to the next thing. But if for some reason it's going too fast, just ask the sub to pause the video and go over that with y'all. Okay? So let's look at that homework. I mean, not homework. That warm up sheet here. I'm going to transition the screen so that you can see the problems on the board. You won't see my lovely, beautiful Sunday afternoon face, but you'll see the board and you'll see me working it out. Hopefully that works. So here we go. All right. So here you should see the 3 warm-up questions. The first question was find the product. Now there's a key word right there, product. Several of us kind of skipped over that word right there, product. Okay, product means to multiply. So we're going to be multiplying these 2 numbers. Once we multiply it, we're supposed to round, and y'all kind of missed out on that information. Several of y'all missed that information. Now, on your quiz, if you found the correct answer but you didn't round, I still gave you half credit for it. All right, so when we multiply decimals, we don't have to line the decimals up. We kind of actually just get rid of the decimals for the first part. I don't need this 0 here because it doesn't represent anything. However, I'm going to keep the 0 at the end there so that when I go to put my decimals in, that it's there because it is behind the decimal. It is important for us to count and include in the answer. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my problem. And I'm going to multiply like normal. All right, 0 times 3 is 0. Is 0. 0 times 2 is 0. 0. We're done with this place, so I'm going to add my 0 as my placeholder. You all should know how to multiply by now. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 5 is 10. I'm done with 2 places, so I need 2 zeros. 9 times 3 is 27. 9 times 2 is 18, plus 2 is 20. One thing I did also notice is that when you were carrying, you forgot that you carried it. That's why I keep telling you, circle them so you can't forget them. 9 times 5 is 45, plus 2 is 47. We're going to add that all up. Okay. And now we're going to go back and put our decimal in. However many numbers are behind a decimal is how many numbers need to be behind our decimal here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. Several of us forgot about that 0 at the end. It's important. So we go start at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 decimal. Now, this is the exact answer. However, our instructions are not looking for the exact answer. It's looking for the rounded answer to the thousandths place. So we have to look at the digit in the thousandths place, and we're going to round to the thousandths place. So this 1 right here is in the thousandths place. It's going to look to the 6. That 6 is going to tell the 1 to give it a shove. Everything behind it turns to a 0. Everything in front stays the same. This should have been your answer. If you got it correct, give yourself a big old check mark. If not, you need to look over your work and see where you went wrong. Number 2, find the sum. That sum is important. Okay? That sum means to add. Y'all were killing yourselves and making yourself work more, and you read it as multiply, or you just didn't read it at all. When we add or subtract a decimal, we have to line the decimals up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm going to go ahead and line my decimals up, and I'm going to fill my numbers in. And then in these gaps, I can add zeros. And then I just add like normal. Okay. As you can see, our exact answer, but it's not wanting us to do an exact answer. It wants us to round to the nearest hundredths place. Like I said, several of y'all got this answer, but you forgot to round. So I locate the digit in the hundredths place. I look to the right. The 4 is going to tell it to stay the same. Everything in the back turns to a 0. Everything in the front stays the same. So this is what you should have gotten. Give yourself a big old check mark if you got it correct. All right, question number 3, find the product. Like I said, you don't have to line up your decimals, just the numbers. 2 times 8 is 16. Carry my 1. 8, 9, 14. Done with this place. Hold my 0, 0, 0, 0. Okay? Done with 2 places, so I need to insert 2 zeros. 1 times 8 is 8. 1 times 4 is 4. And 1 times 7 is 7. Add that all up. I carried my 1. Don't need to forget it. Okay. Now I have to go back and add my decimals. I have to count how many decimal places are or how many numbers are behind a decimal place. So there's 1, 2, 3. So I start at the end. 1, 2, 3. Bam. So my final answer is 76 and 296 thousandths is what you should have gotten. Okay. All right. You can put those in the green tab, put those away, and we're going to look at our foldable. So I'm going to swap screens again. Ready or not, here I come. Ring around the roses. All right. So you should have this paper right here. These foldables, there's no cutting, so that's why you didn't need scissors for these. All right. So on this side, if you look at it on this side, you'll see that we're going to be dividing by decimals today. So you're going to fold on these black lines here. You're going to make like a little booklet. So you're just going to fold on that black line like that. Okay. And then you're going to fold on this black line here like so. Don't overcomplicate it for yourself. It's not that difficult. And then it should just make a little booklet like so. I'll give you a second to finish folding those. Okay. So if we look at these, I'm going to do the camera so that you can see what we got going on here. Okay. All right, as you can see, we're going to be dividing decimals. We can divide decimals by a whole number, or we can divide a decimal by a decimal. So if you open it up, okay, this half right here is if we have a 4 as the divisor. And so we want us to label the difference between the divisor and the dividend to work on that vocabulary as well. So here's our divisor, and here's our dividend. Remember, if I write it, you write it, okay? All right, when dividing decimals, it's the same process. It's still long division, except there's a decimal thrown in. So if we can go ahead and get through the decimal part, then everything's just like normal, like you're used to. So as you'll notice, the dividend goes in the division bracket, and the divisor goes on the outside, just like regular long division. If you don't have a decimal in the divisor, there's not a whole lot you have to do. You just have to worry about this decimal here. And the only thing you have to worry about him is just bringing him up. So what I do is I go ahead and bring it up and I plant it, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore. I can just do regular long division, and my decimal's already there taken care of. Okay, so go ahead and just rise that decimal, and then you just do regular long division. Now there's a slight change. If there is a decimal in the divisor, we don't divide by decimals. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to make this into a whole number. And we do that by sliding the decimal. So I call it the slide and rise. So what you have to do is divisor goes on the out, dividend goes on the in. You want to slide the decimal in the divisor to the very end, keeping track of how many times you had to slide it. Because whatever we do to the outside, we have to do to the inside. So here I'm going to slide it once. So if I slid it once here, I have to slide it once on the inside. And I'm going to bring that decimal and plant it. Now I'm completely done with my decimal, and then you just follow the regular long division process. So to remember these steps, I have a little checklist that I want y'all to write with every problem. I call it the slide and rise, and then you have the divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Okay? This is going to be your checklist to remind you of what you need to do when doing long division. If you don't have to slide the decimal because there's not a decimal on the outside, then you just have to rise the decimal, okay? And so, or if there's no decimals, then you don't have to slide or rise. But if there is a decimal, then you need to slide and rise and then follow the long division steps, okay? So we're going to do a couple problems with this on our note sheet. And I'm going to swap screens so you can see it a little bit bigger from the Smart Notebook screen with our notes. So don't put this away because I want you to hold on to it for practice. So don't put this away yet. When it is time to go, it's time to put things away. This will go in the foldable tab, and your note sheet will go in the notes section. So let's look at this page right here. I'm going to swap screens so that you can see it a little bit bigger right there. Okay. Like always, that first section right there is the same notes that are on our foldable. What I want us to do is put on the margin right here those steps that we wrote down. I want you to write the slide and rise. Then I want you to write the divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. If you can remember little checklists like this, it's going to make your life so much easier, I can promise. Okay, so let's look at some practice problems right here. So we're going to write slide, rise, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down as a reminder of what I need to do. I'm going to leave this first row right here open so that I have a place for the quotient. So I'm going to build my division bracket. The dividend goes in, and the divisor goes on the outside. Make your decimal kind of bold so that you can actually see what's going on there. Do not give your decimal a whole square. If you give your decimal a whole square, it's going to throw off the lining up of your numbers and things like that. Just give your decimal a little corner here, okay? So now we're going to slide and rise. So I'm going to slide my decimal until it gets to the very end. So 1, 2, now my decimal's at the very end. Whatever I do to the outside, I have to do to the inside. So if I split it twice outside, I have to slide it twice inside. So I have to go 1, 2, and then I'm going to raise it to the top. Okay? All right. If those arrows are going to throw you off, clean it up. Just go back and erase all that if it's going to throw you off. Okay, and now it's just a regular division process. 5 can go into 1 0 times. 5 can go into 18 3 times because 5 times 3 is 15. When I subtract, 18 minus 15 is 3. Bring down your 4. 5 will go into 34 6 times because 5 times 6 is 30. When I subtract, 34 minus 30 is 4. Bring down my 5. And 5 will go into 45 9 times because 5 times 9 is 45. I get 0, so there's no remainders left. So my answer is 369. Make sure you get that copied down if you didn't copy it down with me, even though you should be copying it down with me. Okay? Remember, whatever I write, you write. All right, let's look at the try it part. Okay? So first thing I'm going to do is write my steps: slide, rise, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Okay, I'm going to build my division bracket. Dividend goes in, divisor goes out. I'm going to slide and rise. So I'm going to slide it to the end. It slides 1 time. So whatever I do to the outside, I do to the inside. And then I'm going to raise it up. I like to clean up my answer. I can even get rid of this 0 right here. So that it's just 5. Okay. And now we can follow. So I've done this part. Now I've got to go through the divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, regular long division part. So 5 divided by 6 is 1 because 5 times 1 is 5. Subtract 1, bring down 1. 5 will go into 11 twice because 5 times 2 is 10. Subtract, bring down. I have no remainders, so that means I'm done. Notice I didn't have to worry about the decimal because I went ahead and took care of that decimal in the beginning. Okay? So if you'll go ahead and take care of that decimal in the beginning, you won't have to worry about it. All right? Let's look at number 2. I'm going to build my bracket. Copy my steps. And I'm going to slide and rise. Okay. I want that decimal at the very end, so I'm going to go 1, 2, bam, there it is. Now at the end, whatever I do to the outside, I have to do to the inside. So 1, 2. But Miss Pittman, there's nothing there. What do we always have to do in math when we have an open spot? We add a 0. And so we've added the 0, we've slid the decimal, we're going to raise the decimal, and now we're done. I like to clean up my area so that I don't get confused with all this that's going on. So I'm going to erase all of that. Erase that. And now I am done with this step. I can move on and start the dividing process. 22 will go into 3 0 times. 22 will go into 36 1 time. 6 minus 2 is 4. 1. Bring down my 1. Now I need to figure out how many times will 22 go into 141. I know that 20 will go into 100 5 times, and that 20 will go into 126 times. So I'm going to try 6. 22 times 6. 12, carry my 1, 13. I'm not getting another 22 before I reach 141. So I'm going to use 6. That gives me 132. Subtract. I'm going to have to borrow because there's more on the floor. So I have to go next door and get 10 more. Bring down my 4. I'm going to try 4 because I know that's going to give me 88. More on the floor, so I have to go next door, get 10 more. I'm running out of room a little bit, but that's okay. Bring down my 6. 22 will go into 66 3 times because 22 times 3 is 66. I still have to bring down this 0. Something will go into that 0. And we have to bring down this 0 because it's part of the number. Okay, you can't just forget it. There's an open spot right here. So 22 will go into 0 times. Okay, because 22 times 0 is 0. Okay, we can't leave this open spot right here. It's part of it. Without the 0, it's just 1,643. With the 0, it's 16,430. And there's a big difference there. So we have to include that 0. All right, there's your answer. I'm not going to do the next two with you because I want you to have time to practice. So I do want you to do the next two on your own. Then I want you to do the practice on the back of the note sheet. There's 8 problems there, so you should be doing a total of 10 problems. When you have finished all 10 problems and shown all your work, I want you to show the sub. The sub is going to check to make sure that you showed your work. If you showed your work, then you can go get a calculator upon their approval and grab your calculator and check your answers. Okay, you can go through and you can divide and check your answers. Once you have finished checking your answers, I need that calculator to go back in the same number. You're going to pick up the number calculator that's on your number that has been assigned to you. So if you're number 10, you need to get number 10 calculator. It needs to get back in the number 10 calculator spot. I have 26 calculators. I should have 26 calculators when I return. Okay? If you finish all that before it's time to go, then, and only then, you can get on Prodigy. You need to make sure that your note sheet gets in the notes section of your binder. It has holes so it goes in the rings, not the pocket. And that the foldable gets back in behind the red tab in the foldable page protectors. Okay, we're still in Unit 1, so it can go in that first page protector. All right. Be looking for a homework video tonight in case you need help with that. I will post a homework video on Google Classroom and on my YouTube channel. So be looking for that as well. Work hard, do what you're supposed to, and I'll be back soon, I promise. All right. Love you guys. Have a good day. Make good choices.